We all want our little girls to have really strong power names. It is a huge trend at the moment. We're going almost anti-heroine with things like Ophelia becoming so popular, but Freya is really the poster girl for this type of name. She is a Norse goddess. She is so strong. This name is booming absolutely everywhere. It's come sort of really up in fashion, and now I'm getting so many requests to name that isn't Freya but has a similar type of style. So Freya is a goddess. I have done a whole goddess name list, which I will put in the description-y bits below if you want to look at those. But I went a bit off the beaten path because I want to find new names in this daring area, but that are really wearable, but you're getting there a bit early. You know, leading the trends, because that's where we want to be, out in front. We're not followers, we are pioneers, just like these rebel princesses that we're going to be raising. You know, I've got a super princessy daughter's name. My daughter is Evelina Blossom, so I'm just full on pretty princess, fluffy Trixie Belle type of girl, but these names I love as well. And there's one that I almost even didn't put on because I loved it so much. That is the first time I've ever done that. So if you like baby names, don't forget to hit subscribe. If you've watched any of these videos and haven't subscribed, a high percentage of you are not subscribers. It just means it's free. It just means that YouTube will push my videos out to more people, which would be lush and amazing. Don't forget there's a podcast, new episode. Oh my god, can you believe this drama? She broke it with her boyfriend and he was like, well, I'm having the name, and they basically had to decide, would somebody use that name, or was it just too much part of their relationship? It's a really good dilemma. There's loads of other real dilemmas, and there'll be one at the end of the video as well for you guys to join in the comment section below. Thanks so much for helping Elizabeth last week. She really enjoyed all your suggestions for her baby boy, and we're crowdsourcing you again, so yeah, listen out. So warrior princess name. There's not much info about these because I went, as I said, a bit more daring, but what I loved is the name Adira. So it's a real unusual alternative to like an Amelia, which is going really out of style. It's been right at the top for way too long, and we're loving those D's, like a Delilah as well. It's almost an alternative for a Delilah. Adira. It's a Hebrew name which is super popular, and it means strong, so it's so got that strength that we've been talking about, and it sounds strong without being kind of masculine sounding, I think, but it means strong or mighty. Adira is actually a Disney link as well. Did you already know that? That the TV series based on Tangled, there is a character in that called Adira. So it might start to be on a few people's kind of horizons if they're having a second. Hopefully you're not just watching that pregnant without child yet. You got plenty of time to watch all those Disney movies on repeat. And she is a really mysterious warrior character within that series, and I think that's cool to have a kind of Disney link that's a bit of a strong feminine. She can't be Rapunzel, even though how much would I have loved to be Rapunzel. So Adira, what do you think of it? I think it's a really gorgeous, unusual name. So next up is the name Enyo. Isn't that unusual? And I thought loads of you would really like it because we talked about Enyo before, which is an Irish name, but Enyo suddenly is so much more fierce, so much more exotic and enchanting, I think. And I think with the O ending, we obsessed with O all over the name charts. Enyo is super unusual. So she is also a goddess. She was a Greek goddess. She was the goddess of war. She was not one of the main ones. So the main goddess and gods of war was Ares and Athena. Athena being a name that's booming at the moment and I love. But Enyo is a bit more unusual. She was more of a minor goddess of war, if you can be, just, you know, at the back. But she was like the wild card. So if you expect you're going to have a really spirited child, Enyo might really suit, because she was a little bit of, she was known as the destroyer of cities. So she sort of went in at the end and was the bit of the real destroyer, like bit of the real tough one in a tough crowd of destroying war heroes. But you know, it is mythology, it's history, it's kind of really fascinating, and the stories, oh my gosh, aren't they insane? She's got two symbols, a swan and a sword, which is quite nice. It's kind of got that sort of gentle courage but strength of a swan, and then the sword that she wasn't afraid to go into battle and do her thing. So Enyo, I thought you might really like it. Bit different, the next name is Fallon. So it's an Irish name which means leader. So again, it's got that strength. It's not a sit back in the corner kind of follow a name. It means leader. Fallon, it sounds like a really strong feminine name. So it's gender neutral. So a lot of people in America would associate this with a talk show host, but we don't so much around the world, Fallon. I love it because of the Dynasty reference. So I haven't watched Dynasty, but I looked it up because a character called Fallon Caraway, I think she's called, and oh my gosh, now I'm going to watch that whole series because it just looks like 70s heaven to me. Fallon, but I get real 70s retro vibes with it, I guess because of Farah as well, and that name, Fallon, but I just think it is really, really nice. What do you think of it? I looked on forums. I always do a bit of research to see what people think, and it's very divisive. Some people love it, some people are just like, no, it just looks like a word, doesn't sound like a name. But there were lots of women on there called Fallon who said they really like their name. There were a lot of mispronunciations, and a lot of women had said they got Valerie and they couldn't understand why. It was a real common thread, or Falcon. But if you like names like Falcon, why not go with Fallon? And it's got this really lovely meaning of leader and Irish. One you'll have heard of from Greek mythology is the name Artemis. So what do you think of Artemis? I think it is so trendy. It's definitely bold. It's definitely daring. You couldn't have like an Evie and Artemis, well you could, but it's a different style. You are a bit out there. So it is, again, Greek mythology. She was the goddess of the moon and the hunt, which is super cool. She's the twin of Apollo, and she's the daughter of Zeus and Leto. So real goddess, you know, really up there, Artemis. The name is sort of not really coming back, but it's getting a bit of chatter online. What's interesting is there was a book called Artemis Fowl, and I think it was a movie as well where it was a boy called Artemis. So some people are like, is it a boy name, is it a girl name? But it's very much a feminine name. It was her name. It was, you know, the history of it is it's a girl's name, but obviously we play around with that a lot more now. We're a lot more open to boys, girls having the same name or mixing them up a bit more, even though it's illegal in some countries, as I'm talking about on the podcast. Little plug. Artemis. What do you think? I really like it. I actually quite like the nickname Missy, and I sometimes call my daughter my little Missy. So I think that Artemis with the nickname Missy, if you wanted a more feminine nickname, or Artie, I think is super cute for a little girl as well. I can just see my daughter being an Artemis. I think it is absolutely stunning. The next name is a Gaelic name meaning champion, and it's one I've never heard of. So it's like champion, victor, really strong name, and it's unusual because it's mainly used in Scotland. So I hope I say this correctly, but it is Nilina. Nilina. So think about the name Neil, and that's why I wanted to put this on there, because it sort of shows how you can sometimes take a really weird name like Neil, really average name, Nilina, suddenly it's quite nice. And with Nolani and all those N names being popular, Naomi, they're all quite popular at the moment. And I thought that Nilina looks really nice. Apparently it's very popular and it's used in Dutch as well, Nilina, so let me know if that is correct if you are Dutch, but mainly in Scotland. So it means champion or passionate champion, Nilina. That's cool, isn't it? I found this African name, I just said African, but I think it may be Kenyan, and I loved it. It's the name Walter, spelled like this, means shield. Isn't that cool? Because as I said, like, we are really going a bit more brave with using boy names as girls' names. I thought in the middle, Walter even as shield for, you know, imagine if you were like Amelia Walter or something like that. It's really, really cool as a balance to a feminine name or as its own sort of strong name. Don't know if I'd be brave enough to use it myself. I thought some of you might really like if you want an African name. I love the meaning of shield, and I think it's an unusual one that I'm going to keep my eye on because I can maybe see it coming up. The next ones I love the absolute most. The name, first one is Alanis. So you'll already associate it, I'm sure, with the singer Alanis Morissette. A lot of people did. Her parents said they actually got the name from a Greek newspaper, which is really interesting. It means precious. That's what it mostly comes up as, is this real precious, rare, strong thing. But it has quite a few different meanings from around the world, because the name is sort of, you know, got lots of derivatives, doesn't it, Alanis? In Greek, it means little rock in Gaelic, precious sort of little rock kind of thing. So it's got this strength to it, but this kind of femininity to it with the precious. But funny enough, in Greek, somebody was saying, I saw this on a few pages, that it's somebody who's a bit of an idler, somebody who just sort of hangs around and loafs around, which I quite liked as well, because I like that. I love loafing around and doing not very much. And if you're sort of a laid-back hippie type where you've got Alanis, it's quite a cool meaning as well. But I think the name is getting so underused because of the singer, but she's going like kind of out of mindset now. She's quite a retro singer, beautiful singer, lovely iconic songs as well. So it could be a cool name for you. The next one is the one I really liked, and I've never seen it on a list before. I've never spoken about it myself, so let me know what you think of it. It's the name Aura. Just Aura, like this. And oh my goodness, this was really trending online because I can see how many searches the names have had, and Aura is really high. And I think it's because of Aurora being so popular now, almost too popular, it's been pinched, and people are going for Aura, and I think it really works. Like Aura is a lovely name, Aurora we just talked about. It really works as a name, and it's got a really fascinating history to it as well. So it's Latin and it means wind, but she also was in Greek mythology, she was a goddess. She was the goddess of the breeze, of the morning breeze, so she's very associated with that. I think Aura, being this goddess of the breeze, is a really beautiful meaning because it's kind of nature-led, it's outdoorsy. So she was the Titan goddess of the breeze. She was really, really proud of her maidenhood. She was quite a strong, opinionated woman as well. What's interesting was then reading about how Aura became, because it was meant air, it became your air around you, and that becomes, you know, somebody said you've got a good aura or a bad aura. It's the air or the atmosphere that you bring to a place, the air around you, Aura, and she was the goddess of the air and the breeze. So isn't that just so brilliant? And I really believe in auras. My mum thinks she can see everyone's auras, but I'm not as out there as my mum, but I feel people do have a very strong aura, and you get a good aura about people. So I thought it was really interesting, and I really like it, and I love Nora, so I'm really into the name Aura. What about you? Oh, I really like it. Genesis I had on my list, which I really like. It means the beginning, so it's that strength. Genesis is a really strong name, and it's starting to get a bit of use. These biblical book names are really sort of where people are bouncing to after looking through the Hebrew name list and then going to Genesis. It's really strong. It is. It's such a word name, but I can see it starting to get some use. It's getting a pickup, it's getting a lot of good chatter, and I think if you're a brave namer, Genesis could be really, really nice for you. And it means that beginning, that strong beginning. I think it's really fascinating as a name, so I wanted it on this list. And the last one means guardian, and it's the name Samara. Isn't Samara so nice? This had so much love online on the forums. I looked at it when people talked about the name Samara. People were really, really liking it. It sort of feels to a lot of people like a modernisation of Samantha, but it's its own word. It is a Hebrew name. It's also a city in Russia, so it's a place name, which a lot of us really, really like as well. We love city names, don't we? Like Florence, Brighton, Camden, all those names do get a lot of popularity. So Samara being a city in Russia is really interesting. It's a botanical term for dried fruit. In case that's what you're after, a bit of dried fruit in my name, please. Samara. What was quite interesting as well was that in Russia, the city Samara is named after the river Samara, which translates as summer water. So I thought that was really nice. It does feel like a real evolution of summer as a name as well, Samara. One thing about it, which I thought was quite beautiful at first, was that it means night talk, an evening chat, which I thought was really nice. I was thinking in my mind of this romance of, you know, when you stay up late when you're first in love with somebody and you talk all night, or that late night whispers with, you know, friends and stuff, that special intimate moment. But it can be a little bit, apparently, one girl was saying she's called Samara, she went travelling around the Middle East, and they were like, oh, it kind of means more lady of the night, and she wasn't too impressed then with her name, even though she always loves it. So let me know, what do you think of the name Samara? So those are my top 10. I really hope you enjoyed that, and they're really different, and they kind of strike their own chord, I would say. They have their own aura, I would say, but they feel strong and feminine. Any of those would make a substitute for a Freya, if you like Freya, or a sister for a Freya, or something like that, or a Delilah or a Daphne. You know, I think these are feminine, strong names. So I'm going to give you a dilemma from one of you guys. Please do get involved in the messages below. Okay, so this one came in from Katie. I'm reading my most recent one, came in last night to me. So if you want to be involved in the podcast where we answer dilemmas, podcast is purely dedicated to dilemmas, then just email me. I will put my email in the description box below. So Katie, she says, I absolutely love listening to you and Naomi on the podcast. Thank you. She's got a dilemma hoping we can help with. Okay guys, listen. My partner and I are adopting. Congratulations. Some of the babies already have names and some do not. So she's getting different calls from, you know, how it is with adoption. Sometimes it's like an early, sometimes it doesn't go through and things like that. So sometimes they come with names. So they are making a short list of names though if they need one. They've previously discussed that they aren't interested in naming children after anyone in their family. But now she's second guessing that. And I think that's a big thing. Like, it's difficult to pick a family name, because who do you choose, which side of the family, but also sometimes it's so nice. I think particularly after COVID, one of the things I'm seeing a lot of people doing is using living relatives' names more and more because we've missed people. So she was talking about baby names with her dad a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned he would love it if she honoured him. Ooh, put it out there, Dad. Don't leave it, you know, don't just keep it subtle. His middle name is Joe, and my partner's dad's middle name is Joseph. One of my grandfathers was named Joseph as well. Great. So we're thinking about using a Joe name for a girl. Good idea, everybody. I don't know. Maybe she's already got a boy name. So she's trying to find a Joe name, not just Joe. What could be a long form for Joe? So her niece is called Chelsea Josephine and really loves it. My partner loves Josephine as a first name, but she's not a huge fan, which funny enough was my husband's favourite girl name was Josephine, as you know. And I wasn't a mad fan, but I do like it. Just something about it. She likes Josie, which I really do, but she'd prefer a longer name. Such a good one. She loves Johanna, which is Scandi actually, but there's so many different ways of pronouncing it. She's worried it will get mispronounced, Johanna. It would for sure. She likes Jovian, which is a word name, but her partner doesn't like it, Jovian. So she's quite into an unusual name. I think Jovian is quite unusual. We've looked at so many lists of Joe names, nothing seems right. We would love it if you had any suggestions. Please help, thank you so much. So I will reply to Katie right now and let her know to come over to YouTube, not wait for the podcast. We'll get on this right now. Let me know in the comment section below, and Katie, I will of course be replying to you as well. Get your baby name consultation hats on, guys. Any requests for name lists, do let me know in the comment section below as well. And I will see you later on in the week. Do come back on Thursday where there'll be a lifestyle video from me. Any of those you'd like to see as well. I'm doing some sort of day in the lives, but I can do some fashiony bits, some foodie bits. I'm really playing around with it now. Lots of love, guys. Bye.